And that's it. And that's something that I always say young entrepreneurs, but I mean more young as in like it's the first time they've done entrepreneurship. Anybody who's stepping out by themselves, you've just got to be prepared to tell everybody what you do, what you're about.
Yeah.
And connections happen. Humans are interesting creatures when you get to know them. I think we just spend too much time. I mean, I'm not going to be so rude as to ask a lady her age, but I remember the world before smartphones. I remember where you just did. You went for a walk in a forest because that was the source of entertainment available to you at that given point in time, right? My first TV. The TV we had growing up, I'm not that old that my first TV, like I remember it coming into the house, but it had 3 channels.
Yeah.
That was it. Like that, we didn't, Facebook wasn't a thing. We had Bebo, we had MySpace, and it was awful. My first computer didn't have Windows on it. So, and that human bit is missing.
Yeah.
And I think, if you're going to get into this game, unless you are doing something that fully requires you to sit behind a computer and you never have to speak to someone. But that's rare, and it's also not that much fun.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. On today's show, we have Stuart Lunn with us. Stuart, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Can you start out by telling our audience a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do?
It's going to be. I'll do the abridged version because there's quite a few bits in there. So yeah, my name's Stuart Lunn. I'm from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Still, that's where we're recording from today. I've had wide and varied sort of career. I started off in sales, business to business sales primarily, working across telecoms, infrastructure, and then more recently within AI and machine learning software platforms, particularly around sustainability and ESG. But over the last number of years, I've always been involved in some form of side gig, side hustle, other jobs that were keeping me entertained, trying to build something. So in the last number of years, I've developed out a number of businesses that I am involved in at varying degrees, from development side right through to sort of sales director. So that spans. Within sustainability, I do Blue Microgrid, which is a decentralized energy distribution hardware system. Does a lot of renewable tech and getting more renewables into sites and services. So we're working globally on that. And then I'm also involved in a lot of coaching and training for young entrepreneurs. From University, Bath University. I'm actually sitting in Ulster University here in Northern Ireland, where I help some of the undergraduates who are thinking about going out and starting for themselves. And then I have the Net Zero Hero, which is a software-based platform for taking business owners and helping them find the right renewable solution providers within what they're trying to achieve. And we're developing out a number of agentic AI platforms that are going to back end to all those services as well. So I keep myself busy. At the weekend, I play music at bars. I don't sleep much.
Clearly you don't sleep. You're like super busy, the guy that's doing it all. And you've said so much there that I would really like to unpack for our audience, right? So if you had to go back, I'm gonna ask, what would be the one system that you would have built earlier, knowing what you know now?
Google, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just an interesting question, right? Because if I take the Net Zero Hero is an interesting one. So it's marketplace, it's connecting buyers to sellers, right? It's a fairly straightforward bit of kit. That was actually something I built 10 years ago, but it was actually for musicians to find gigs at bars, right? So it was a completely different angle, completely different thing. And the COVID happened, all kinds of things happened, right? And that just fell on its ass and disappeared and never to be spoken of again until I'm on this podcast, right? But I was then able to pivot that into something. So I mean, what would I have built differently? I don't actually know, because I think I'm a big proponent that all the bad experiences, good experience, all the experience that you have by the time you hit 40 is the thing that allows you to do it anyway. If I was building what I'm doing now in my 20s, I would make such an ass of it. I would it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't. So no, I'm a big. It's all come at the right time, because market conditions are different. Things change, So I don't know. That's a very bad answer to that question, but I'm sticking with Google. I'd about Google.
I love that. Okay. So, based on the fact that you feel like everything happens when it's supposed to happen, and we are in the space of AI right now. So,
Mhm.
what advice are you giving your students right now in terms of like just adapting the software that's out there in order to grow their business?
Oh, so that's one I've actually recently given a talk on, where because my view is very much. I mean, I'm 40 now. I just turned 40, so I remember I wasn't working, but I remember the effects of the dot-com boom. I remember, all these things that were coming for us. All these things that we've heard over history are coming to take our jobs, right?
Right.
You know, the car was going to replace the horse. There's still people
Right.
riding around on horses, right?
True.
Um, it changes it. It definitely changes it, right? And for people who, I mean, this is the art college part of the university I'm sitting in right now. So these guys are terrified because of generative copy and generative imaging, right? And rightly so. It's a big thing. It really makes the university course feel slightly outdated as far as I'm concerned.
Hmm.
But the thing is, if you think you can ignore this technology and it's going to go away because a point of principle is holding you back, you are not going to get incredibly far. I mean, even within my coaching, within the teaching that I give people, I'm currently in the process of developing out an AI platform that has been trained by my book, by all the video lessons I've given, by everything. I have built me into an AI. I've delineated it into different personalities so that people can come and talk to me 24/7.
Yeah.
Because why would I not do that? I mean, you can get, if you learn to harness it, it's not as scary as people think it is.
Right.
And it can get you so much further down the road. Don't use it as advanced Google. Realize that some of the tools that are coming out now are properly brilliant for
Yeah.
helping you accelerate it down, but you've got to hand finish. You can't let the AI do everything. You've got to take it to a point and then put yourself into it.
Yeah.
It's good for structure, not good for delivery, as for at the minute anyway. But that would be me
No,
and AI anyway.
I want to jump in on that with you, right? So we have our other company, Systems and AI, where we build systems and automations. And what I would say is this. I think that there's a misconception or some sort of connection of the dots that's missing. So, for example, you're in an art college and there are art students there that are rightfully so terrified. But what they don't realize is that in each individual human, there's a creativity that technology cannot take from you. So
Yes.
even though it's able to generate the AI faster, your creativity is uniquely yours. It's just like an artist. How they paint is uniquely their brushstroke, even if they're doing a specific style,
Yeah.
right? How they see things is going to be unique to them, and they can incorporate AI, use technology to deliver that at a faster rate. And that's the main difference, as opposed to looking at it like, okay, I create art, cartoon fashion, and it's going to take my job. That's not really it.
Yeah, I mean, like the example I always use is the book I wrote. Right now, it's 200 or so pages of me. Right, like I
Right.
wrote every single word on it. However, for me to get the structure, to get the right, this is how you're going to do chapters. This is how you're going to do sub chapters. This is it. That I used an AI for. I
Right.
wanted the structure, and then I wrote it. Then I went, okay, now I can put myself into this because it's really good at accelerate. The chat I always give with people is these tools are there to augment your personality. That's
Mhm.
what it's augmented reality, not it's not replacing reality.
Correct.
And if
I
people
like
learn to,
that.
Yeah, it's like the same way that they brought out. Nobody complained whenever spreadsheets could start to autofill.
Ah,
It's the same thing. It's an optimization. It's something to help you do stuff repeatably quicker. So our output is getting much better. Even now, when I write blog content, like I'll write the blog, but then whenever I've got AI structuring, because I want to hit certain SEO pillars, I want to hit certain things, and I'm going right. I've finished this article. What's my next one? And it will
right.
give me, right, we'll go here, do this one, do that. And that's where I find real value in it. Or if I'm stuck on a point, it's good as a research tool. And like I said, the you can go in and do what I've done, which is personalize, want to give myself to the internet, which will scare people, by the way. I think one of me is enough. Um, but I've given that out to a few friends who are playing with it, and they're going, "This is literally like having a conversation with you." And I'm like, "I know, because I trained it to be like that." So
I
it's a
love.
bit of a smart ass. It cracks jokes. It tells you you're an idiot when you're being an idiot, and it is like it's very brash, and I love it. Like, but that's a different conversation. But for most users, get into it, find out what it can do. I think for everybody, you've got see in this day and age, you have to be curious, because if you're curious, there are tools out there that will speed you up so quickly and get you where you want to be, which is what we're here to do, you know?
Exactly. And what mistake do you find that most founders make, right, as it relates to getting into business, right? Um, and what mistakes have you corrected moving forward in your own cycle and evolution of business?
In my own cycle, um, I would say I would never let desperation make a decision for me.
Oh, can you repeat that? I love that.
You know, don't let desperation make a decision for you. Um, so I think actually on the Net Zero Hero Rocker Bees, as it was for the musician, we were in a place where developing out the MVP was proving a bit tricky, right? And we needed a bit of investment to kind of get us to sort of first stage. And we've been toying around with it. We've been meeting a few guys, we've been having a few conversations, and one person came up who was the most willing to give us money, but he was the least attractive person to work with. We knew there was a bit in the back of our head going, this doesn't feel right, but we really need the money, right? And that's a tough position to be in, because we took the money and it fell. It just didn't work. Like the personalities weren't working. They were thinking, your gut instinct tells you things. Insofar as to me, your subconscious, right? Whenever you have a gut feeling, that is not a random feeling. That is the hundreds of thousands of different things that your subconscious picks up on day in, day out,
Mm-hmm.
from how people are behaving, little things in conversation you didn't consciously hear, but you did hear. And there's something in you saying, this ain't going to work. That's what that feeling is. It's all the other systems that you have pulling in this data. It's big data, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
machine. It's your machine going, nah, not this one. You got to listen to that guy, because that guy understands more than you let on, and you don't wipe it off as a feeling. Anytime I have written something off as just a bad feeling, has not played out very well for me, including a director in Lou Microgrid who came in, highly recommended, great CV, something a bit weird, ended up clearing most of the company bank account out, nearly putting our lights out.
Wow.
Horrendous experience.
I have
And, oh,
horrendous experience. Yeah.
it's
It's
horrible.
traumatic.
It is. Oh, and
Traumatic.
you have two choices. I mean, this is the thing. You can either wallow in it. What one of our directors didn't take it well, like really emotionally hit him, couldn't get out from under it until I'm not going to repeat the words I said because this is a family show, but I swore profusely at the man and said, look, we've two choices. We either fold this and give up, or we dig in and keep going. And, we went for door number two, but it was hard, you
Yeah.
know. So listen to that guy, because, we're not, our subconscious is to be trusted, because it's your entire lived experience telling you what the good paths are. So trust your gut.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. I love that. And what are some of the things that you think entrepreneurs think when you're starting a business, but it's widely misconceived, like misconceived notion about what entrepreneurship looks like?
Oh,
Because you've lived this experience.
I literally wrote a book about this. I call it startup porn, right? Which is what you see on the internet day in, day out. It's you when you're thinking of starting a business, the social media algorithms are very smart creations, right? And so they show you, Gary V talking big game, just go out and do. You've got Simon Sinek sitting there with this mercurial advice to a room of thousands of people. Great. They've made it, they've done it, but it's all mindset stuff. So that creates a false narrative that people go, oh, that's where I'm going to be. And then even I'm not sure, particularly sort of like American markets and things like that. I'm not entirely sure how the startup culture feels. We have quite a lot of good support here in Northern Ireland and the UK. A lot of programs, accelerators, incubators to get people in. Their government-funded bodies. There's a few private-funded ones as well. But again, their primary goal is to get people onto their accelerator and get them through to the end of it, maybe ready for a bit of investment, maybe just ready to go out in the world and do their thing, right? So they give you theory about, this is how you do a tax return, this is how you do this is how you sell something, this is it. It never hits by the way, this is incredibly hard. And you're going to be so close to a mental breakdown at least 4 out of every 7 days. And things are the day that you least can take a punch, you're going to take 3. And those things are not taught because obviously you can't do an advertising campaign on this. Like
Right.
nobody would, right? So you got to get them in. It's very fluffy, but for anyone who's done it, particularly, and I delineate a wee bit between a business owner and maybe an entrepreneur, someone who's trying to, you're being a florist, right? You're like, fair enough, still a hard road, but you're not trying to reinvent the wheel versus the guy who's designing something, making something new, whatever it is. It's 2 slightly different conversations, both very difficult. And I don't think we sell that. We sell the idea of freedom almost too much.
Yeah.
You say that, oh, you're going to have financial freedom. Yeah, you're not going to see your kids for 3 days. There's going to be days that you're going to be crying in your car. These things happen. But again,
You said financial freedom, and all I could think to myself when you said that word was like, yeah, free from any kind of financial gain. Freedom.
yeah, right. Broke as hell.
Broke as hell.
Yeah, but you're not, if you're doing it for the money, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. If you
Right.
want, if you want a stable income, stay in employment, all right? Because you've got to kick and scream and beg your way for the first 5 years of basically anything, right? I mean, like the Lou microgrid thing, we've been at that 3 years now. We're only getting our first meaningful paychecks on that now. I mean, and the government funding was dried up relatively quick, although now we're shipping to India actually, where there's a free trade arrangement between the UK and India. So suddenly the government people are banging our doors, and you're going, you're lucky we're still alive, guys. You're genuinely lucky we didn't just close this up 18 months ago when we needed help. Now you want us to do something for you. It's
Mhm.
different, and people, they don't tell you that because it makes a crap social media campaign. You see the beautiful people on the beach with their laptop coding. I do these 5 chat GPT prompts and I make £10,000 a day. Buy my $500 course. It's timeshare salesman, and that's
Right.
what we see online. It's not the reality.
Right.
But I love it. Like, I wouldn't change it for all that sort of doom and gloom. You got to have the right mindset for it. You got
It
to
is.
love the fight, right?
It's
You
a
got to
passion.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have to be passionate about it, or else it's not going to work. To continue to go out there and serve people, it has to be something that you are just passionate about.
You have to. Like, I mean, even just going to but like, you have to go drag out to networking events. Right now, I'm not a natural networker. I'm a natural talker of various forms of nonsense. I'm very good at that. But then when I have to put a shirt and tie on and show up at a thing and be very formal, I'm the worst guy in the world for that. I was at an event 6 weeks ago at the House of Lords in London. Like the proper full
Right.
blown. Everybody's fancy. I'm invited by a guy because we're doing some work actually, hopefully in Barbados, and he's helping put that together for me. So I get into this room, and it's one of those ones where you've got 57 types of knife and fork and spoon at the table, and I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
what
Favorite
the
things.
what? And I brought him. I met him in Lithuania. Long story. Yeah, you got it. You got the one thing I say. You got to be everywhere if you want to start a business. So I went to Lithuania for a trade show. Met a guy whose dad's in the House of Lords, and he's doing business in Barbados. This is how stuff happens. I brought him over. I said, "What am I doing here?" Right? Like what? But I got to be passionate about what I want to do because you're going to have to go to events that make you incredibly uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and that's it. You got to be everything. I'm a good sales guy. I'm not a great guy at balancing the books. So thankfully, one of my business partners who I went to school with is deeply, deeply autistic. He won't mind me saying that because he is. And he is phenomenal at doing our accounting. So I give him all the stuff. And you got to have your horse for course and build your team around that and have
Right.
the thing. So
Right.
that's the thing. Realizing who you are, what you want to be, and believe you can do it. Be passionate
Mhm.
enough to do it, and then go and get stuck into it. That's
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. And I mean, you basically laid out exactly what that looks like, right? So you do have to do the thing and have the right people in your team. What I would say now, one of the major benefits is creating systems and automation to automate some of those things that you
Yeah.
may not, if you don't have, let's say, the team member to do the thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. I mean, the I always one of the things I'll say to most people say if it's not your core competency, outsource it, right?
Mhm.
And there's two roads there. Like I said, you can automate a thing, right? And that's where AI is brilliant,
Crushing it,
right?
yeah.
Is doing the thing, and even a lot of sort of relatively low cost or free tools. Like for example, I use what do I use for CRM? I'm not that you would know what I use for CRM, but I use a very low cost CRM, Typedrive, and it has loads of uh, little automations, reminders. Like I took some time to set it
To
up.
build it out. Right,
Took
right,
a
right.
day to really make sure that it was doing not more than I needed it to do, so it wasn't asking me questions that would annoy me and I'd ignore. Got notifications for what are absolutely essential things to keep me right, right?
Mhm.
But again, when it comes to like finances, for example, I am the singularly worst person to speak to. I have no interest in it. It doesn't light me up. But like I said, I have a friend who we came into this together. He was actually looking to start something round about the time I was starting it. We met for coffee, and he is just accounts all day, and I don't know how he does it. He occasionally phones me about accounts, and I'm like, why are you phoning me? You know I don't know this. Yeah, I mean you completely know. I'm away doing crazy stuff, breaking things, making them work better. Right, that's my thing. You make sure we don't set anything on fire illegally. Basically, is his he does. He does our compliance, he does our accounts, he does, all the busy work that I genuinely
And I love
couldn't care.
that.
And there's, yeah, but
That you both are in your zones of genius.
well, that's it. I mean, and you can outsource. You can use a Fiverr. You can use a
Right.
subcon. I mean, I'm very careful about doing that
I
if
was
it's
gonna say,
anything
yeah.
which is like integral to the business. But if you're stuck on, say, a logo and you can't use Canva and you've
Mhm.
exhausted your free tools and your expertise, you don't have a graphic designer on your phone, go and
Yep.
pay a guy $20 on Fiverr. But you can outsource that way. There are gig workers, who are good at what they do, or you can bring in people. People, I think people don't realize how good their own first degree network actually can be.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in employment, you don't need to touch into your network. I mean, whenever I needed a data scientist, I mean, I knew the guy we used as a data scientist was the best man at my wedding. On one of the projects, he is a shareholder, but then on other projects, I just pay him for stuff because he doesn't want to be involved in it. He doesn't want to be a shareholder. He's no interest in it, or I don't want him involved in it, whatever it is.
Right.
And so I just pay him for his time, right? But if I need anything, I know somebody within a degree of connection who can get me that, you
Mhm.
know. and they're people you know and like. So
Why not
be
use
fri-
it? Yeah,
be friendly, ask questions. I think people are terrified of just asking questions nowadays. I, I
absolutely.
I just you ask a friend if you need. I don't even know what you'd ask for. I was asked yesterday by a client about CE marking as a European standard for safety glass. A manufacturing standard. And he's like, "Do you know anybody that does this?" And I goes, "No, I don't, but let me make a phone call." Phoned a guy I know who works in compliance. He goes, "I know just the guy you need. Let me make the intro. Bum bum bum. Business is getting done." Right?
Yeah,
The guy who's my client loves me right now because I've made an introduction that solves a physical problem for him. And if I ever need something from him, I'll phone him, ask the question. It's how the world. I think human conversation has become a skill, which
yeah,
is
agree,
terrifying. I think that's terrifying, but
agree.
we
No,
should do
you're
more
right.
of it.
You're absolutely right. It literally has become a skill. And I think a lot of that happened when the world kind of shut down for a while and people lost that human connectivity. So they don't exactly know how to connect on that level anymore. And that, I believe, was one of the major shifts.
And I know I'm waxing lyrical and telling wide and varied adventure stories, right? So at the weekend I play music. Out in the bars playing Galway Girl to drunk people, usual play songs everybody knows, everybody parties, right? And I've noticed this since the end of COVID, right, particularly, is that I'm sitting playing songs, watching the world go past. I'm literally on muscle memory at this point, so I'm just observing human connection. Now we're of an age where we remember if I was in a bar having a drink and I saw a pretty girl and I wanted to go speak to her, I went up and offered to buy her a drink, right? Old fashioned human conversation, right? See, anytime I see that happen in the bar, everybody instantly like turns on this young man like he is some, pariah state that is just, I mean, it's weird. They look at him like he's, should be on a register, like there's something wrong with this guy. And I'm sitting there watching it going, but
That's normal.
you'll meet up with the stranger that you met on an app that you have, you know what I mean? Like you want
Yeah,
to have it that you want technology to vet the person before you go and meet them. Whereas there's no guarantee that person is the person, right? It could be any amount of catfishing is going on there. But the guy, I'm talking about guys who are, I mean, as far as my understanding of what makes a man attractive goes, this is a fairly well put together human being, well dressed, not drunk, being polite by the look of it. And he just get like everybody in the group was like, who is this absolute psychopath who just engaged in conversation with a stranger?
oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
But you know what?
And
It's true.
it is, and it's sad, Which is, so I look at again, particularly with the students I coach. I'm saying, if we go to a networking event, there's loads of free ones are always on in Belfast. There's always a networking event. In fact, while this is happening, there's one happening about a half mile away. I'm going to go to after this. And if I bring some of these guys to it, it's like, well, what do you do there? It goes, you go up to someone and open your mouth and let words fall out. Like I don't know, but like the thing we're doing in India, for example, massive big project. If it comes off the way we're planning it, there's going to be a joint venture for the next 15 years of our life, right? It'll be very, very good bit of business for everybody involved. That contract is happening because I went to a networking event at a car dealership. I met a wealth manager from Belfast. I have no money. And I made that joke. I was like, I don't need a wealth manager. I just need wealth or enough money for a sandwich. Like
Right.
I'm not your target person, right? So we're chatting away anyway, and I said, "Well, tell me about the world of wealth. It must be lovely." And he's asking what I do with microgrids and what have you. And anyway, 2 weeks later, I get an email. He said, "You want to go for a coffee?" I said, "Yeah, sure. I'll meet anybody for a coffee." Literally gave a talk called "Everything is Worth a Coffee"
Mm,
because there's always a connection.
yeah.
So anyway, I said, What does this guy want with me?" So I meet up. And he goes, right. So I spoke to my father in law in my class. Brilliant. I'm still being quite dismissive in my brain why I'm here. And he goes, right. So he's connected via my mother to the Omani royal family. His father in law is an architect who delivers large scale projects in Oman. And I'm like, okay. Now you've got a call next week with this guy you went to uni with who is one of the largest integrators of PV in Oman. And I'm like, now we're getting somewhere because I need to speak to PV integrators. So I get speaking to this guy, Sud, lovely guy. Now he's off for a month because it's the summer in Oman and everybody goes on holiday in France. He comes back, and one of the guys he went to uni with is one of the biggest installers of solar, and they're having the problem that our microgrid fixes all across India. And he actually does all the work for Tata Steel, right? So
Wow.
now because I went to a car showroom in Belfast, I'm now in negotiation for the largest PV installer in India. You gotta be places. And
Yeah.
even if a person doesn't feel like your right person, you don't know if they are. You've no
Right.
idea until you find out.
Right.
And that's it. And that's something that I always say young entrepreneurs, but I mean more young as in like it's the first time they've done entrepreneurship. Anybody who's stepping out by themselves, you've just got to be prepared to tell everybody what you
What
do,
you
what
do.
you're about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And connections happen. Humans are interesting creatures when you get to know them. I think we
Mhm.
just spend too much time. I mean, I'm not going to be so rude as to ask a lady her age, but I remember the world before smartphones. I remember where you just did you went for a walk in a forest because that was the source of entertainment available to you at that given point in time, right? My first TV, though the TV we had growing up, I'm not that old, that my first TV, like I remember it coming into the house, but it had 3 channels.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was it. Like that, we didn't, Facebook wasn't a thing. We had Bebo, we had MySpace, and it was awful. My first computer didn't have Windows on it. So, and that human bit is missing.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to get into this game, unless you are doing something that fully requires you to sit behind a computer and you never have to speak to someone, but that's rare, and it's also not that much fun.
Yeah.
All the misadventure you have is generally face to face, and you'd be amazed what comes out of it.
It's true.
So I don't even know what the original question was. By the way, I think we've just completely down into.
But you know what? Here's the thing. It's always great to have a deep dive into just that, networks, connections, meeting people. There's so many different avenues of it, right? Mentorship, all of it is pretty much lumped up into the same thing. It's connecting with other people that can help you to get from one place to the next.
Yeah, and then ask, and then ask.
And then
Make
ask.
it.
True,
It's
because a lot of people don't ask.
Oh yeah, I know people with incredible networks who never open their mouths. Even
Yeah,
but when you work in sales, getting to the point, and like when you're starting a business, everything is sales to one degree
correct.
or another. Um, but whenever you have something in front of you,
Hmm.
ask for it. Asking for the sale is something people like young sales guys definitely don't do.
Yeah.
My last paid employment, I ran, a team of sales guys, and the number I had some brilliant salespeople who could give the most incredible presentations. Negotiation skills were superb. Got to the last bit where you're meant to say, "So, are we doing this?"
Hmm.
And silence. And you're going, "But you what?
You got this far. Why
How
didn't
did
you
you
just
do
ask?
all this?"
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then believe enough in yourself to ask the question you need to ask. Because what's the worst? That's a little nugget. It is always remember that the worst that can happen isn't that bad,
hmm,
right? So if your position is, I'm stuck in what I'm doing, go and try. What's the worst that can happen? Go and ask the question for, can I have the business? What's the worst that can happen? The
hmm.
worst that can happen is they say no, and then you go, well, why? What's missing? And they go, oh well, you haven't done this, this, and this. You go, right, okay, well, if I do this, can I get the sale? So that's your worst that can happen.
I
Or they
like that.
say, no, we're not interested. And you go, okay, that's great. So instead of having somebody in your pipeline that you're like, oh, brilliant, that's my ticket out of here. You suddenly realize that it was all Hail Mary, smoke and mirror nonsense. It was never going anywhere anyway. So
Hmm.
having that stuff cleared out quickly,
Mm.
it's just reminding yourself that if the worst, and look, if the worst that can happen, I mean, skydiving, what's the worst that can happen? Some pretty bad stuff
Hardship.
can happen, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's layers to that. But
There's
like, if the worst that can happen is someone hurts your feelings, then
It's true.
yeah, have your feelings hurt for a couple of minutes and then move on to something that was actually going to make you money anyway.
It's true. It's
It's
so
I
true.
just did. Oh, sorry, I have a 5-year-old, and I just realized I did 6, 7. Um, I
Listen,
truly, I can't do this anymore, which is like come see, come sa
yeah,
for me and you, you know,
yeah.
but like for kids and any youth watching this is like, he's doing 6, 7. I unfortunately know what that is.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I like that you've actually spoken about like practical things in the whole midst of the conversation. If you had to, outside of what you just gave, and you're, let's say you're giving a talk to a new founder, what are some practical steps that you think would take them from just starting, just incorporating, what are some practical steps to take them from that initial step to a little bit further in that workflow for them?
Yeah, so they haven't got a product ready for market at this stage. They're still early stage.
They're
Yeah,
early stages, they're flushing it out, and they're like, you know what are some of the first systems I can set up to actually get myself on the right track, right? Instead
number
of spinning, because most people start the business, they spin on the logo idea. I need to create a logo, and they're spinning, right?
yeah.
Then the next step for them is I need to create a website, and they're spinning. Now, looking back from where you're sitting now, what are the first 5 things that you think? Listen, if you're listening to this podcast, here are the 5 steps to just get
Yeah,
going.
yeah. Number one is going to sound strange, right? I'm going to say number one has absolutely nothing to do with your business, right? Is you have to lock in your own personal routine,
Okay.
and by that I mean your physical health, your mental health, your diet is a big one, is a huge one. I'm a big proponent of that because you and I both know that starting a business and running a business takes a hell of a lot out of you. So if your systems in your personal life are not locked down to fuel you, to give you the ability to get through the hard times, if you're sitting there, if you're starting out and you are 100 pounds overweight and you live on Twinkies and Coca-Cola and a bad attitude towards life, and you never get outside and you do all these things and you never, if you're in that space, right, and you've got a great idea, right, let's assume the idea is perfect, revolutionary, right, you will not have the energy or the mental clarity or focus to get yourself past the first 5 years. I
Mm.
just don't think you will. I think people fall apart very early in that stage, and I think that's why I think it fuels a lot of the failure rate, of a new business idea, is that the person gives up before the idea had finished. They're not thinking fast enough or quick enough to get through what they need to do. So lock that in. Also, your non-negotiables. For example, 6 o'clock is my dinner time. I've got 2 boys. I've got a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and from 6 until about 7:30 is non-negotiable. Anyone who works with me knows that if they phone me during that time, I am going to go through them with a spade. I'm going to hurt them if they phone me about something. I mean, occasionally I have a meeting or I'm traveling or I'm doing things, right? So it does get in the way occasionally. But my bedtime with the boys is locked in. You've got to have that locked in, number one, because it keeps your mental health right, keeps your physical health right, and keeps you going. Then at that point, I always tell people to ship ugly, right? So your first thing, your first MVP, does it need to be a fully coded app, or can you prove it with a funnel, like a website funnel, just to
Mhm.
gauge interest with some low cost social media advertising? Can you do it with a spreadsheet? Spreadsheets are effectively basic code if you format them correctly. Like, you give that to somebody, would that be a useful thing? Speaking to a guy who does accounting, is it an interesting thing with the legislation change on P11D taxation in the UK? There's a big legislation change which has created an opportunity that he's all over. I said, yeah, but if you built that as a spreadsheet and gave it to an accountant, he could tell you if it's worthwhile or not. He could tell you if that will bring a value. You need to know your market position and if there's a validity in it.
Yeah.
And market research is easy. It doesn't cost much. It doesn't need a logo. Get that done before you find out 6 months later that what you had is a nice idea, but no one will pay the money you think they will. Got to validate that. And
Mhm.
then do some research on your competition. your potential buyers, but also check out what local structures are in place. Like I said, I don't know too much outside of UK and Ireland in terms of what sort of localized incubator accelerator programs are available. Those are the first three things I would do. Get yourself sorted so you can survive it. Make sure your product is a valid idea. You don't need mountains of it, but I mean, a funnel website takes two hours to set up on Squarespace, and you can make it look pretty.
Or find someone to quickly friend in your network that could help you with it too.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, like the tools that are available to get something quickly up online, back end it, sort of thing, and then just pay £50, £50 for some social media outreach to core demographics. You know, you could do that in a weekend without too much hassle. Don't spend 3 weeks doing a logo. It feels like progress, but it's procrastination. You've got to be savage about your time. Like I always, sort of say, like every pound and every minute is a prisoner. It has to be a prisoner. You have to make sure that your money and your time is valuable. It's got to be valuable to you, and you've got to make it valuable for what you do. You want to get this stuff moving and validated. Don't spend weeks on, did I pick the right shade of orange for that? No, it doesn't matter. No one cares. No one didn't spend £25,000 because they didn't quite like the shade of your logo. Nobody. So, it's be productive is the thing, but also make sure you're looking after yourself because it's a hard road.
And I want to jump in that with you. I mean, even for example, starting a podcast. There's a lot of things that stop people from doing it. For example, the fear of being seen, the fear of going out there, the fear of doing that, the fear of networking. But the thing about it is nobody knows who you are initially. So it really doesn't even matter. Background, setting, it doesn't matter. You can literally just start. And I've come to the realization that a lot of people don't start for the fear of some reason or the other. Or even talking to business owners, they haven't gotten past a certain phase of their business because they're actually afraid of the next step.
Yeah, they keep asking, like, I mean, to me, I have a huge respect for you to run the podcast, by the way, because I just couldn't do it. I'm not that. I actually do a lot in audiovisual, obviously, with doing the music, and I debated it for a while, and then I spent like 2 days Googling what microphone I wanted to use because my ADHD took over completely, and I just had to, and it ruined me, right? But yeah, people are so afraid of the what happens if, right? And that's kind of the what's the worst that can happen conversation. But the question I always think is, I look at a lot of entrepreneurs, and I think a lot of them are more afraid of success than they are of failure. I think they generally put up challenges. I was actually having a conversation with one of our team in Lou Microgrid today. He's a director and he's a shareholder with me. And we had with what's going on in the world, geopolitics, we do a lot of work with batteries, right? So the wholesale cost of lithium's going up pretty significantly, with what's going on in the world. So one of our suppliers, is a big project, and it's a 40% price increase on a bit of hardware. So we've got something in active negotiation with one of the utility providers here. And he phones me up going, oh, they're never going to do this. They're never going to do that. And I said, hold on a second. How do you know? And he goes, well, from the last week. And yeah, but have you spoken to them? And he goes, well, no. I said, right, well, don't phone me telling me what they're going to do until they've told you what they're going to do.
Exactly.
Because he's created 5 different versions in his head about, and I said, right, okay, well, if we can't use this one, we can use this one. And if we can't do that, then we're going to need to source a third one. So phone them up, tell them it's outside of our control. We are not the ones increasing the price. It's the wholesaler, and we're just putting a pass-through on it. But give them option 2, slightly less quality product, but will fit inside with the commercials. Give them out as an option. Say, look, if neither of those work, we'll go find something else for you, right? Goes, yeah, but what if I said, no, I'm hanging up. See, go away. Off my plate. Phones me back 10 minutes later, and he goes, they actually said, the couple of projects where that's been happening with them, so they're actually okay with it. And I'm like, right, so what so I was about to swear a lot there, because I swore a lot at him. I was like, why are you phoning me before you find out? Like, go and find out. It's fun anyway. Have you ever read the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius?
No, no,
Look,
actually,
you
I have not.
have to read this book, right? So he's obviously grandfather of Stoic thinking, right?
Right.
And he's in Gladiator. He's the old emperor that dies at the start, but it's his personal diaries, right? And he talks at length about being a good Roman citizen. So replace Roman citizen for human being, and you kind of get it, right? But his entire thing is like, you know what? You're going to be dead soon anyway. And he's like the OG guy of that. He's like, you see that problem you're thinking about. Remember that it passes in time, but also remember that the universe has been here for thousands and thousands of years. Also remember, you are very small inside your house. Your house is very small inside your city. Your city is very small inside your country. Your country is very small inside your planet, and the planet is very small in the universe. And it will also pass. So it doesn't matter. And that's the thing, is like that catastrophizing that people love to do is always remembering how small we are as people, how small our city is in terms of the country we live in, how small our country is inside of the planet. And also remember it'll be over in a week anyway. So who really cares? And some people find that dark. I find that
No,
incredibly empowering.
yeah, it is.
You
It is
know, I,
extremely empowering. Thank you for
yeah.
that.
Oh no, it's transient. It's all transient. Like I'm doing what I do to guarantee a future for me and my wife and my children. I want to make sure that I have something to give my children. But you see, if I don't, I'll be dead anyway.
Mhm.
I'll do the very best I can. I will be as kind as I can. I will work as hard as I can, and I will spot opportunity and work towards it as best I can for me, my wife, and my family. That's it, right? And in the 65 million years since the dinosaurs dandered about here, me and my children and even my grandkids make up a grand total of 240 years. So every generation I have known, well, include my parents in that as well, 320 years out of 65 million. That's all the generations up and down that I will ever have access to. Pretty small, you
Wow.
know.
In the grand scheme of things. Wow. Wow. Stuart, thank you so much for this conversation. It has been beyond enlightening. I know our listeners are going to get a lot from it.
It's a
How can they
pleasure.
find you?
The number one way for the one I spend the most time talking to people on is the unfounded .com, which is the course that I do. The AI will launch through that whenever I get that done, but also just some of my mad ramblings on thoughts and life and what have you. And then you've links to everything else there. You get me on LinkedIn. You get me on. We met on Facebook,
Facebook. Mhm.
which is rare because I'm so rarely on that anymore. But again, to the point, the reason me and you are having a conversation, we have a wonderful thing in Belfast called Net Walking, which is a
Mhm.
monthly networking event where we all just go for a walk around the government buildings in Northern Ireland. It's kind of like sort of the Capitol building. And I was speaking to a guy there who teaches people to run. I thought you learned how to run at 4, but apparently there's an industry in it. And he was telling me teaches people how to run marathons, and I'm like,
Oh,
sure, you just do it. You just do it for 26 miles. Is that? I mean, anyway, he feeds his family doing it, whatever. And I said, well, look, I said, I'd like to be involved in sort of, he goes, you should be on podcasts. I was like, I don't know how you do that. And he goes, here's a group on Facebook you should be involved in. I joined it, met you, and here we are having a transatlantic
right.
conversation about the father of Stoic thinking in Marcus Aurelius. And that's how the world works.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, it's been a genuine pleasure. I really appreciate you letting me on.
Likewise, Stuart, thank you so much to our listeners. I will drop all of his links so that you can find him if you're watching us on YouTube and if you're listening to the audio. Stuart, repeat it for them if they are listening to it on Spotify or
Yeah.
any other platform.
So you can find me at The Unfounded, so www.theunfounded.com, and you'll be able to find me from there, and we can talk more about the mad ramblings of the universe.
Love it. Love it. Stuart, thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Likewise.